So today for your assignment, you have a code word. So I want you to listen carefully. My code word is different from Miss Hernandez's. I'm going to be saying a random word that is not related to what we're doing at all. So a random word is just going to come out and you'll know that's the code word. And also I'll make sure you know by the end for sure. I won't say the code word until closer to the end of it because I do need all of you to stay on here, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share. Ooh, I can't share that yet because it's showing it's on the wrong slide. My apologies. Here we go. Clicking all the buttons. There we go. So we are going to learn about comparing decimals today. Y'all actually are really good at this already. However, sometimes if they're written a certain way, you can get confused. So we are going to go through and just that you have the best way to show your work and that kind of thing for comparing decimals. So can I have a friend that would read our I can statement? Again, our I can statements are going to be what we're going to be able to do by the end of the lesson. Go ahead, Genesis. Will you do it, please?
Okay, I can compare decimals to the thousandths using the symbols greater than, less than, and equal to.
Yep, and this one right here is a less than and then a greater. But yes, great job. Thank you so much for reading that, Genesis. Okay, so first thing is I want you to choose. Would you rather have A or B? And be ready to tell me why. So in the chat, please choose A or B. What would you rather have and why? Or you don't have to say why in the chat. I'll call on people. Again, choose A or B. Those are your options. A or B. All right, I'm going to call on some random friends. Please make sure that you're participating at least in the chat so that I know you're here. Thank you so much. All right, Josiah B, what would you choose and why?
I will choose A because it costs. It costs more.
So it's more money. You want more money? Makes sense. All right, and Asia, what would you choose and why?
I choose B because I feel like A is too much money.
Oh, you think it's too much money? Okay, you might get in trouble, might spend too much. I see. All right, and then one more person. Jamari, what would you choose and why?
I would choose A because it has Benjamin Franklin on it.
Oh, it does have Benjamin Franklin. It absolutely does. So most of you told me either in the chat or on here that you would choose A because it's more money, or even if you didn't choose A, you still recognized that 100 is more than 10 because, you're in fifth grade. I know you know this. But one thing I wanted to point it out to you is that 110 both have the same digits in them. They both have a 1 and they both have zeros. So the only reason that 100 is more than 10 is because that 1 is one place value to the left. So that 1 is just one place value more. So left is larger. So whenever you're thinking about your place value, just remember that the further left is larger. And that's what makes this $100 greater. So we're going to keep thinking about that. And here's our comparison symbol just to help you remember that our alligator mouth chomps and eats the larger one because alligators are always super hungry and they want all the food they can get. So our alligator is eating the 100. So 100 is greater than 10. let's do this again. Except this time we have a dollar and we have a dime. So what would you choose? And then if I call on you, you can tell me why. Or if you want to tell me why in the chat, that's totally fine. So A or B? Would you rather have A or B? All right, Haley, what would you rather have and why?
I would rather have A because it is more, and if you have enough $1, eventually it will add up to something you can buy.
Oh, absolutely. I like how you were thinking about saving up. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Samira, what would you choose and why?
I would choose A because $1 is like basically 10 dimes add up to $1.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that the dollar is 10 times greater? That's
Yes.
a great comparison. Thank you, Samira. All right, now Cullen wants to be difficult and I want to hear why. Cullen, what would you choose and why?
I would choose B, and why is because I rather have more coins than money, because money is paper, so it'll be able to rip easily. So if I have coins, I'll be able to, and it won't rip.
Oh, okay, so you think the coins will keep better. All right, that's good to know. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. I want us to look at both of these. So notice that both of these have the same digits again. They have 1 1 and then they have 2 zeros. So again, the only reason that this $1 is greater than the 10 cents is because of the place value of that one. It's in the left, it's more left, so it's a larger amount. So keep that in mind. I know that seems simple right now, but for some reason, when we start doing decimals, it just like goes right out of our minds. We don't even think about it. All right, now we can see $1 is greater than 10 cents. I know that's not what I asked you. I know I asked what did you prefer. So you're not wrong if you chose something else. And this is our last one where we're going to choose A or B with money. So tell me, what would you rather have? Would you rather have A or B? Would you rather have $1? And the coin is a quarter. If you're not sure, that is a quarter. I have some friends that are on here that haven't answered at all. So let's make sure we're participating in the chat. So would you rather have A or B, $1 or a quarter? All right, Rebecca, what would you choose and why? Rebecca. All right, Mackenzie, would you go ahead and tell us? You had a very nice explanation.
I choose A because the value is larger than a quarter, and it's easier to count just with dollars.
Oh, that makes sense. I like how you said it's easier to count. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so I know a lot of you decided you wanted B this go around, which is totally fine. You can rather have, yes, Rebecca, please go ahead. What would you rather have? Oh, you're on mute, sweetheart.
I'd rather have B. I meant, yeah, B.
Okay, why would you rather have B?
Because I think it's more valuable. Like,
Oh, so that B is quarter worth 25 cents.
oh,
Does that change your answer now?
yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
no.
What would you like then?
A.
All right. Because you want the one that's worth more?
Yes, no.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. So, Rebecca, you led us perfectly into what we're going to talk about next, which is the value. So, for these, we have different digits. And we have a 1 for the $1, and then we have a 25 for the quarter because a quarter is worth 25 cents. So whenever I've thought about numbers, I always thought 25 was more than 1. So can anyone explain to me why everyone's saying that the $1 is worth more than the 25 cents? Because I'm pretty sure that 25 is supposed to be more than 1. Nellie, go ahead.
um, 1 is more than 25 because the quarter is 25 cents and the dollar is 100 cents.
Oh, so you're saying that $1 isn't really just 1, but I could think of it as like 100 cents versus 25 cents if I wanted to compare the two?
Yes.
Oh,
Or it's
okay.
1 of 100.
Oh, okay. So thank you. I'm starting to understand a little bit. Do I have anybody that wants to like add on to what Nellie was saying? Okay, Jamari, talk to me. What else would you like to add on to help me better understand how 25 is not more than 1 in this situation?
So, they didn't say $25. They said 25 cents.
Oh. So how do I know if I'm looking at that number, how do I know the difference? Like, how do I know that's not $25 and it's 25 cents?
So the dollar is what comes first, but the cents is what comes last.
Oh, so you're saying the dollars are like before the decimal and then the cents are after the decimal?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So the 1 and the $1 is further left than the 25 that's like after the decimal. I think I'm starting to get it now. So that decimal or the place value really is playing a huge role because 25 does seem like way more than 1, but apparently it depends on where it's at in our place value chart as to the true value that it has. So again, y'all know easily a dollar is worth more than a quarter. So whenever you're looking at money, I know you get it. So once we get to decimals though, our brains kind of get fuzzy and get mixed up. So I want you to try to put your money thinking cap on whenever you're looking at decimals. Really just try to picture it as money as much as you can. So this next one, we aren't picking like what we would rather have. I want us to look at these two images and choose which one is greater. Which one of these is more? A or B? A or B? Thank you for that explanation, Colin. Which one of these is greater? A or B? Look at how much is shaded in. I would love to see everybody who's in the class to respond in the chat. All you have to type is A or B. Which one do you think is greater? Not a trick question. Just which one has more shaded in? Okay, thank you for all of your responses. So a lot of you told me, I mean, it's mixed. So we're starting to get a little confused as I expected. It's totally normal to get confused once decimals come into play and looking at pictures like this instead of money. So now I'm going to put the decimals for these. So A over here is 38 hundredths. So there are 38 of these little squares shaded in. And then B over here is 7/10. We have 7 out of 10 of these rods shaded in. So if you want to change your answer, you can. But I want us to think. So normally 38 is obviously much greater than 7. So is that true in this situation? Is 38 more than 7 in this situation? I'm getting no's from people. Cullen, would you want to talk to me about what you're thinking as far as the value of 38 and 7?
Yes, I would. The reason I chose B is because B would be the closest one to actually getting into the ones place, and 38 hundredths would be the farthest.
Okay, so you're looking at which one's closest to being completely shaded in, and you're seeing more of the B shaded in than the green one. Okay, I totally see what you're saying. Thanks. Thanks, Colin. All right, Fumi, would you want to talk to me about what you're thinking? Why in this situation are you thinking that 7 is worth more than 38?
I thought 7 is more than 38 because on the pictures, B has more shaded in, but A less than B. And if you take like how much is shaded in B and use a hundredths and shaded in how much B had, then A would be less than B. So
Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that, Fumi. So I heard Fumi reference she wanted to compare the two of them because A is in the hundredths place and B is in the tenths place. So it might be hard to compare that way. So I'm going to annotate on the screen if I can get this thing to move. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to show you, you can see over here on B, this is like 110. Do not draw on the screen. This is 110 right here. So I'm going to show you 110 over here and we're going to compare them. So this is 1, 2, and it's really not a straight line, but you get the picture, and there's 3. And I can't draw one more because these last 2 aren't shaded in. So I only have 3 of those 10s shaded in on A, whereas I have 7 completely shaded in over here. And we know that 7 is greater than 3. So basically we're comparing this 10th place to each other because as we said earlier, the further left in the place value chart, the larger it is. And obviously the larger, the more important, the more value it has. So we would rather have the one that has a higher number in the larger place value. So 7 is much greater than 3, making this 7/10 larger than the 38 hundredths. Another way you can look at it is, Fumi was also referring to this earlier, is we can compare it. And if I were to draw all those little lines to make this 100, we would actually have 70 of those squares shaded in instead of just 38. So whenever you look at it that way, 70 is much more than 38. So B is greater. All right, let me click off of that. And here's our comparison sign. So we would read it as 38/100ths are less than 7/10. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to show you how to show your work whenever you're comparing decimals. And you're getting really close to me revealing the code word, so stay tuned. So I'm going to show you a strategy that you have used before if you were in Roger Bell last year for math. So if you weren't, this might look new, but for everyone else, it should be pretty familiar. So whenever we started dealing with those really big numbers last year and we had to compare them, we would stack them in that place value chart. So we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to kind of remind you what that looks like with some whole numbers first, and then we'll do decimals, okay? So let's say we have 108, and then let's say we have 1008. So again, they're the same digits. Maybe for a younger student, this might be confusing. I know that you know automatically just by looking at it which one's greater. I know that. I'm just going to show you how to use our way to show work though. So we need to stack them and make sure that our decimals line up, but we don't have decimals, so we're going to put decimals on the end. We know our decimals always to the right of the ones place. And so I'm going to have 108 first, and then now I'm going to draw my lines to separate my place value. Here's my thousands. Here's my hundreds, tens, and ones. And we know the further left, the larger. So we always start from the left to compare. Okay, well, I don't have a digit right here. Show me with your hands, what could I write right here so that I could compare these two? Thanks, Nellie. Thanks, Cullen. Thanks, Fumi. Yeah, thanks, Samira. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, I'm going to put a 0 there. And I'm going to do like a little dotted 0. So I know that I kind of added it in. So now I can compare 0 or 1. Which is greater? 1. Thank you, Nellie, for showing me with your fingers. So this is the first place value where the digits are different. And obviously the 1 is greater, so I'm going to draw an arrow to the 1, so I know that this is my winning number. This one's greater. And so I'm going to draw my symbol to where my alligator mouth is opening up and eating my 1008 because it's greater. Okay, so hopefully that's jogging some of your memories from 4th grade about how to compare. Now we're going to do it with decimals. So with decimals, we tend to get confused. So I want to make sure that we pay special close attention. And I'm going to do. So we have these two numbers here. We have 7 and 8/10, and then we have 7 and 91 thousandths. So whenever we compare, again, our decimals need to line up or it's not going to work. So I can start by stacking my numbers and making sure that my decimals line up exactly, and then I just fill in my other numbers after that. And then I can draw my place value lines and create my chart. And then this is my ones, tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. And again, we start from the right. Do I start from the right? Oh, thanks. People are saying no. I need to go from the left. Okay, I'm starting at the left. All right, this is a 7, that's a 7. It's the same. I'm going to move on to the next place. Okay, here's my next place, an 8 and a 0. So I'm going to circle right here because this is the first place that it's different. And obviously, my 8 is larger than 0. So this is my winner. So I'm drawing my arrow. So 7 and 8/10 is greater than 7 and 91 thousandths. Because 8 in the 10th place is larger than this 9 in the 100th place. So I'm going to draw my alligator mouth to make sure that it's going to eat 7 and 8/10. Another trick that some of you learned last year that your brain liked a lot was drawing the dots. So whichever one was greater, you would draw the 2 dots next to. Whichever one was less, you would draw 1 dot, and then you would connect those dots to make sure your symbol was going the correct way. Okay, so now pineapple. We are going to go and we're going to work on our assignment. If you have any questions about the code pineapple word, please let me know. Thank you for staying with me, and I hope you have a wonderful Pineapple Friday and enjoy your weekend. If anybody didn't get it, I'm going the wrong way. The code word was pineapple. Don't tell your friends. So now you can do your assignment for today. Easy peasy. Thanks for participating. Y'all did amazing. If you have questions, stay on with me. Otherwise, go put in the code word.
Bye.
Bye.
Run and shuffle. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, sweetheart. You too.
Bye.
Bye. I see you.